Okay, good evening, everyone. The today's session is to walk you through Watson Analytic because, as you know, one of the class assignment is a group project which is going to use the predictive analytic power of Watson Analytic to do a group project. So this is a serious project with a very powerful tool, and you will start, let's say we started actually from previous week trying to group you together. Right now, right now, all team are already formed, and you can see which is your team when you go to, let's see, you have to go to the classroom, my tools, and groups, and you are going to see which group you are in. I don't see anything still posting in the group, but group are formed, and you can start working right after this. Let's say I don't require immediately because actually you don't have idea what exactly you have to do because of the tool is a little different than anything else you have been using right up to now. So what Elena is going to do is to walk you through to the tool, and in the classroom there is a module full of resources describing what is the project, what is going to be the proposal. I don't want to talk about the proposal right now because I don't think you even are ready to do to think about the proposal right now. But if anyone has any question, because you have overview what information is there, I will be more than happy to answer. So here are the bullet which has to be included in the project proposal, which is due week 4. So how this should work? Today is the walkthrough. You start in parallel with the other individual assignment working in this group project. This is a parallel assignment during the whole semester. So you try to decide the role in the team. There is team agreement, you see here. You have to write who, whatever is going to do, try to find communication area. Beside the area of communication in the classroom, you can use any other. But again, in order for me and for us to oversee what you are doing, you at least have to post something here like a summary transcript about what you are doing, okay, in the discussion area, even though you are using different beside the little classroom to communicate. So beside that, what I want to tell apply for Watson Analytic and for other tools we are using in this class. All these tools are deployment in cloud environment. We have access as an academia for free. For instance, Watson Analytic, we have access to the professional Watson Analytic. Bluemix is a cloud environment with a lot of powerful tools and services to do analytic and different other uh, other tasks. And Bluemix is let's say industrial working platform working environment. So the access we have is, let's say, the last and the foremost in the subject. But this is outside of the university. University help desk doesn't have idea if you have problem with Watson Analytic, with Bluemix, or with any of the services in the Bluemix, how to deal with this. These are tools which are IBM tools, and we have in each class teaching assistant, one or two even, so they can help you. Whatever happen, these are the point of contact, and we are contacting IBM. UMUC help desk cannot help you with this. So in addition to this, there is schedule maintenance for each of these cloud platform. For instance, for Watson Analytic is right here. You scroll down, make sure you see everything. Here is the Watson Analytic maintenance schedule. if something is scheduled for Bloomix, we also are going to post it. So be aware about all this schedule. This is the only thing you have to be aware where you plan your submission. From time to time, you will see that these maintenance window are very close to the weekend when you are actually finishing assignment, but that is not in our control. This is the way industry work. I mean, we have to adapt what is there in order to get access to these powerful resources. So plan accordingly. If something is going to happen like maintenance window in Bloomix, we also are going to advise starting from the next week when we start with Bloomix. So by now, the only observation before giving the words to Elena is to tell you that you really have to follow strictly the instruction in the classroom. There is nothing hidden there. And let me tell you, the instructions are quite detailed. Sometimes you have to pass several times in order not to skip a certain point, I understand. But keep in mind the following. After the classes in the program, when you go to the work environment, you won't have this type of instruction. So this is just to get you prepared, to get your logic working, because at the end of the day, when you start working, you will have to work on this instruction perhaps yourself, for you or for the team you are working. So take this positively and learn from all angles. Don't hesitate to ask any question. There is no dumb question. Everyone can just get stuck in something. This is understandable. Just ask question and follow. Our TA, they have very good practice. If a student, we had unit student who missed the email confirmation, they can schedule with you, let's say immediately, Google screen share, and to find instantaneously where the problem is. So that is the way we are working. And I don't know if there is one or any organizational question by now, or if not, I'm going to give the word to Elena. Any question? I can unmute you if you need to. No question. I don't see any question. So, Elena, I'm giving you the words. You do the presentation and hope they will get as much as possible. And then follow all the instruction in the classroom. Beside this walkthrough, there is a free day, Watson Analytic course in Big Data University. You can do it and pass it. And moreover, on the February 22nd, you will be receiving an email. We are going to have live workshop in Largo in the Academic Center of UMUC regarding building predictive models with Watson Analytics. So with no more, we are giving you, with no more, I'm giving the word to Elena, but where is Elena?
Oh, I think Jerry is trying to share something.
No, Jerry is not trying
Yes,
to
I
share.
see. I saw the ball next to the Jerry.
No. Okay. The ball just ended there accidentally, or he tried to grab it, but no.
Well, that's all right. Let's just ungrab it.
Grab it if you can.
Uh,
I
no.
don't. I know. I know you can't. I don't know what is. Okay. Got it.
All right. And I think
Okay.
there is a way. There is a way to change it. Oh yeah, I won't be able to change it too because I don't have.
He got again the ball.
Oh,
Jerry, come on.
all right. Oh yeah, you let
I
me.
don't know what is he doing.
There is an option since you're the meeting host. You're gonna have an option where you can switch that not everybody can present. Something like.
Well, I know, but don't grab the ball because this interrupts all the time the presentation and we are wasting time. In order to ask question, you don't need to actually by now the presentation right, okay?
All right. I see.
And I think Jerry even doesn't have audio, so I don't know why is he grabbing the ball. Perhaps he again is in a hotspot with not enough bandwidth and doesn't have audio. Jerry doesn't have audio. Okay?
Oh, yeah.
And
Well,
he's trying to do something, but I cannot help. You look, for the cloud environment, for anything which is streaming like this, you need internet powerful to do this. If you are in hotspot which doesn't permit you to stream, you won't be able to participate because right now he's without
yeah, the same thing.
it.
Right.
But why you are doing this?
Ilana might ask you to do this quick favor. You get the ball, you take the ball to yourself, and then you can change it. If you go under the participant, since you have a host role, there is an option anyone can share in the participant menu. If you uncheck it, that won't happen again. If you go to participant,
I know.
yeah,
Don't. No one can check. Well, because we are not gonna end ever. You know.
yeah. So
If people don't understand what they are doing, I'm sorry, we cannot do this
uh,
way.
so
Okay.
now you would need.
Okay. Okay. You are all set now. Grab
Oh,
the
but
ball.
I
Get.
don't have access right now to present.
Well, you have the key. I can put you to.
Oh, okay, got you. So
Don't worry. Don't worry. I'm going to put you.
I can enter the key. I can reclaim
No,
the.
no, no, no.
Okay. So I should do this, right? I'm gonna do reclaim it.
No, you will have to reclaim because I
Yes,
disable
yes.
everyone. Since people are doing things which they are not supposed to do, well, we have to do this way. Got it now?
Okay. Yeah, so I entered it. Yeah,
Your
I
host,
entered
and I can give it to you. That's it.
it. Yes, thank you.
Okay.
All right. Sorry, guys, for the delay, but I guess yeah. So
Well,
now what? Yeah. Well,
everyone must know what he's doing, eh? It's not
yeah,
gonna work this way. And
exactly.
Jerry, I can tell you, call the phone. You are not get. There is a phone number to call. You don't have bandwidth to go through your computer. Okay.
All right. Now
Okay.
I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna share my screen. So let's get started. Guys, if you're not speaking, may I please ask you to mute yourself?
Okay. Let's go.
All right. So, all right, I'm gonna go share my screen. Oops. All right. So let's go ahead and get started, guys. So basically, let me first go
Elena,
over
just
of
a
the.
second. Just a second. Before thinking in the detail, tell them few words in general and then go to the
Oh,
detail. Otherwise, they will be
all
lost.
right.
Okay?
All right. So yes, I have actually prepared the slides, but I have not
Okay.
had an chance to
Okay.
upload them. So
Okay.
I hope you guys can see it. Let me zoom in a little bit. All right. So here is the meeting's agenda. I'm gonna help you to get started with the Watson Analytics application. We're gonna discuss the 3Ds of Watson Analytics. Then we're gonna discuss refining is the same thing basically as data pre-processing. And we're gonna discuss the natural language questions. We're gonna talk about the prediction models and data visualization. And then I'm gonna show you how to prepare the expert storybook, which is going to be the end result. You're going to present your findings, and I'm going to show you some tips on how to work in groups, and we're going to do some question and answers. Now, you might be wondering what's Watson Analytics. Basically, Watson Analytics is going to help you understand your data, and there is a very low learning curve, no learning curve, and you don't need to know how to program. You don't need to know how to write the code. And basically, what you're going to do is you're going to import the data, and you can type in the question, and your data is going to be analyzed, and and the findings will be presented to you. So basically, I'm going to show you what I mean, but the application, it analyzes the terabytes of data, and just in a few seconds, you're going to get your answer. All right? So I'm going to show you in details what I'm talking about, but to get started, as we already discussed about it, all of you have received an email from me, right? You received an email, an invitation, Watson Analytics, to join the Watson Analytics account. You need to use the Watson Analytics on my subscription, because the free version, right, the free available version does not support the group work, and it does not support the Storybook functionality that we're going to use for the project, right? So after you accept your Watson Analytics account invitation, go to the Big Data University. Here is the URL, and I'm going to give you a copy of the slide afterwards, and complete that course, right? Also, in the classroom, you see a bunch of hands-on lab, so go ahead and work through that as well, right? This presentation, it's gonna have, actually there are seven. This presentation has 7 data set choices for your project. So as a team, I want you guys to choose the data set and let me know your choice, right? By the end of this week sometime. Just let me know what you choose, and then I'm gonna help you upload the copy to your shared folder. You'll see. And here is the due date, so mark your calendar. That's the date when your proposal is due, right? So now, assuming that all of you accepted your Watson Analytics invitation, this is a login page. This is the page that you're going to use to log in, right? And you're going to click on the sign in, and you're going to enter your IBM ID. The IBM ID is basically an account where it's an email account where you received your invitation and a password that you set up, right? At any time, if you misplace your password, there are instructions for password reset. I'm going to make sure that they're posted in the classroom, right? So they're going to be the password reset instructions, so nothing to worry about. Now, when you log in, this is what you're going to see. This is a landing page, and this is what you will see right after you created an account. They give you one sample data set already, and if you notice that on the left panel, you're going to have the personal folder and the shared folder. Basically, at the top, you're going to have 3 tiles here, and explain what each tile is. Data tile shows all the data sets that you have uploaded. All the data sets that you have uploaded, right? That's your starting point. Discover, we're going to get to it. That's basically a set of exploration workbooks that you're going to create, right? And display is present your finding. So basically that follows these steps. We're going to upload the data. We're going to do some data pre-processing. Then we're going to build our models. And then we're going to develop the presentation. And we put together our presentation into an expert storybook, right? And I'm going to show you, I'm going to walk you through the step. Here on this slide, I'm basically summarizing you what each of these style means, right? So again, we're going to input the data. We're going to do some data pre-processing, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. We're going to do some explorations, and then we're going to present the findings to an end user, right? And here are some additional slides, and I'm going to show you what I'm talking about the very rich and powerful help menu. Every single screen in application has access to this question mark. So that's a help menu, and the topics are organized into the subtopics. So you can find a lot of interesting resources in here, and even links to the videos inside the documentation, right? So here, basically what I'm showing you is that there are several sets of data sources. I can upload the data from my hard drive, or I can use the sample data set that already exists in the application. I'll show you where it's located. I can collect my data from Twitter just by running the search and collect all the tweets on a topic of my choice. Or I can upload my data from the cloud, such as DB. It's upcoming later in the course, right? So here, we go. I have 7 choices for the data set, and I'm showing where they are located. They're located in the sample data sets that come with application installation. I'm going to show you what I'm talking about, but first, I'm just showing you the slides that you're going to have afterwards, right? So now let's jump into an application, since I think it's might be much easier to understand when I'm showing. So now here it is. I have my landing page, and I have 3 tiles here: data, discover, display, right? Uh, Here, my personal area is not empty. That's because I already done some work, right? Here in the left panel, you're not going to see other users. I see because I'm an administrator. But you're going to see here is personal. Everything is in the personal folder is what you own. This work is visible by you, and admins can see it. We have a way to see it. Shared area is the area where the access was granted to you. So what I have to do is I have to expand this. If I expand this, you will see the session. You'll have a separate folder for the session where you're enrolled in. So right now is spring semester, right? So we have 3 sessions of Data 650. If you are enrolled in session 9040, you're going to see a folder like this, 9040. Inside the folder, you're going to see the group you're a member of, right? For instance, if you're a member of Team 3, you should see Team 3. You should not see Team 1 and 2. You should only see Team 3. So when you want to save something, you want to share something with your team, you want to be saving it into your folder. This is how to access it. I expand the shared, I expand the folder for your team, and I expand the folder for your session, and here is the folder for your team if you're a member of Team 3. So every work you save must be saved either in your group, or in your personal area. Everything saved in the wrong location will be deleted without notice, right? Everything saved in the shared folder will be deleted, because if you may have noticed the number of shared folders that I have to share this account with other courses, right? So we have to keep in mind that we're sharing the account with other courses, so we need to save work in a personal area or in a folder dedicated for our team. Now, here, this is the data tab, right? This is where we upload the data, and I have 2 layout options. Right now, each data set is presented as a rectangular tile. I can toggle between list and a tile layout, right? You choose whatever works better for you. Now, I'm going to show you how to add the new data, right? So there we go. I click on new data, and here are my options. Import, right? I can go to sample data. So here it is. Your files, your data sets that I'm suggesting you to use for the project come from the sample data. Like, for example, let's see here. For example, the customer behavior, protect your customer. So what you would need to do is you would need to scroll down. You would need to scroll down this list, and you would need to find your data set, right? Oops. For some reason, oh, here it is. You would need to scroll down. Or for instance, suppose that I want to select, I'm going to select, all right, here it is, protect the customers. Look what I did. I selected this, I selected it, and I clicked import, right? And now it's importing. Look at this. It says processing. By processing, it means that Watson Analytics is trying to identify the relationships between your variables in your data, right? And by relationship, I mean the hierarchies and the dependencies between the variables and so on, right? So this is how you upload the data from the sample data. And now I'm going to show you how we upload the data from the desktop, right? So what I do here, I click on New Data, and then I'm going to select the local file, right? And local file means that the file is stored on my desktop. And I have an interesting data set here, and it's called risk students, students at risk. See, look at it, look at what I do. I just select the file in the Windows Explorer, and I just drag and drop, and I click import, right? So I'm going to see it's computing the data quality score. Oh wait, yes, it's computing the data quality score. See this? And I'll show you what that is. Aha. Yes. Speaking of this, let me show you something. This is an Excel file. This is very important. Very important. And this is a Microsoft Excel file. My file here, it has a data on 2 tabs. Every time when a file has a data on 2 tabs, Watson Analytics will prompt you to select the tab. And another reason I wanted to point this out is that if you're going to be taking the course, if you're going to be taking a test, for the purpose of the test, the correct answer is that Watson Analytics select the first tab. That's the correct answer for the purpose of the test. But after the course was released, after the Watson Analytics course was released, an enhancement was added to an application. Right now, it's allowed. You're allowed to specify what tab you want to select. In my case, I want to select the first one. I'm going to hit confirm. But this is something you want to keep in mind. If your Excel spreadsheet has more than one tab with data, right now you can choose the tab, right? You can choose which one you want to select. So here it is, it's uploading. A data quality score, it is based on if your data has missing values, right? Remember from data mining course, missing value means that the value is unavailable, it's blank, right? And it's also looking at how skewed the data is, right? So here it is, it's uploaded. Now, what does this mean? XLSX. That means that the file it's the source. It was downloaded from Excel. This one means it's a CSV. This one right here, it means that I downloaded something from the cloud, right? Here is a Twitter. Here is a text file, and so on, right? So now, what I could do here, I could do the refine, right? I'm going to show you how my data looks like, right? In order to see what my actual data looks like, I need to open the refine option. So here is, I have to click on the ellipsis, right? I click on the ellipsis, that opens up the menu. And here are my options. I can delete the data, I can rename, move, refine, replace. Now, something very important to keep in mind, and I think I also mentioned it on the slides, that there is no recycle bin. When I delete something, it's going to be gone forever. There is no way to restore it, right? Unless I re-import it. So something you want to think about, right? You want to keep that in mind. So now I'm going to select refine and take a look at what's going to happen. Right, so here is my data in Microsoft Excel. Right, this is the first tab. Here I've got the column names, right? I've got the column names here, and here is my data. So now I'm going to go to the Watson Analytics. See this? My column names got imported here, and all my data is here. So preview, it's limited to 1,000 rows, looks like. All right. So here, basically, every column in a spreadsheet becomes the variable or a field here. Now, what I can do here, I have a bunch of options. I can hide certain columns, right? For instance, there could be a column that I don't want some certain people to see, like student GPA or the cost, right? There could be a department, for instance, I could create a separate spreadsheet to a different department, and there could be a department at the university that I don't want to see how much the student paid for the class, right? Like, for instance, if I'm preparing a spreadsheet for the TAs, for instance, I don't want them to see the cost. Or, for instance, I don't want somebody to see if the person is an English speaker and so on, right? So what you could also do this, look, here you can toggle. If I click here, I'm gonna see the column properties, right? So that's a field data type. And here I'm gonna show you what that means. I'm gonna show you what this means when we get to data aggregation. And what I could also define here is that I can define my data to sort. I can define the sort order by specific column. Right now, it's set to not sort, but I can sort the data by the GPA, ascending or descending, perhaps, or I can sort my data by the class size, or anything I want. What I could also do is I could filter my data. Like, for example, suppose that I want to look at certain class size. So to do that, I would have to just select one value. See this? When I select 100 to 200, it gets displayed right here at the top. It shows me what I have selected, right? And suppose I want to select everything but 100 to 200. To do that, I can just do invert, right? When I invert, it's only going to select whatever it's gonna unselect the selected, so to speak, and select non-selected. So now suppose that I change my mind, I don't want to filter it anymore, I'm gonna hit clear, right? There we go. So also, if you look at your variables, right, it's gonna show you, it shows count distinct, and I'll explain what it means. And also because this column is the this column, the values are male, female, right? It's a categoric variable. Here, this is a numeric variable. So see, it says number. And here, whenever I want to show, when I want to show the class hours by gender, perhaps, right? By default, it's gonna add for me. It's gonna do the total hours, right? I'll show you what I'm talking about when we get to the visualization. And here is the number of absences, right? And here is an average GPA, right? So what else I could do here is that I can define another filter called grouping. So let me see, when I click right here, it opens up the menu where I can also select and unselect the columns that I want to see. And I can define the calculation column, or I can define the data group. Let's do the data group. And I want to, here, I want to select the columns that I want to group on, and I'm going to select the GPA, right? So this is the overall GPA. I'm going to select that, and the values are numeric, right? So by default, it's going to split the GPA into the five ranges, and it's using the equal weights binning. Basically, if you may remember from data mining class, when we convert the continuous variable into the categorical, right? There are several binning options. Here, it's doing the equal with binning, so it's not checking the number of observations in each bin. It's rather looking at the range, right? So this is the default, but you can always override the default. But I'm going to keep the default, and I'm going to say GPA range, right? Basically, what I'm doing here is nothing but I'm creating a new column. I'm going to hit done, right? So what Watson Analytics did for me in here is, if I close this out, and if I scroll all the way through the end, you're going to see it. It created the column called the GPA range, right? So now, suppose that I don't want this column to display on my, I don't want this column to show on my visualization. So what I have to do is I just have to go in here and uncheck it. I'm gonna go in here and I'm gonna uncheck it, right? That's all. And now notice that hierarchy, all right? What it did was Watson Analytics, it decided that my state falls within the country. It created this dependency for me. Let me see. Let me turn that on and see what happens here. See this? It added another column. Right now it does not show anything, but I'll show you when we get to the visualizations. I'll show you why it might be useful. So, all right. So let's go ahead and go back here, and I'm going to undo. Oops. I don't want this to show, right? And I'm going to close this out, and I'm going to save all my changes. Remember, you have to save all your changes here. Save, right? Okay, it says saving. So right now, I'm going to exit this. And yes, I was going to point out something very important for cloud application. Do not use the browser back button. Never do this. It could lead to unexpected results. So even on one of the slides, I have a picture of the back button crossed out. So remember, do not use it. Use the menu. So how do we get back to the landing page? You can do this just by clicking on IBM Watson Analytics logo. Or you can use this menu right here and just select this. That's another way. Now, what I'm going to do is here, look, I click on this data set right here. Look at this. Watson Analytics automatically gives me the list of choices of what I want to look at. Basically, what I did was, at the time when the data was uploaded, it determines the relationships between variables for me. And also, you might get this pop-up. It's just a little bit, it's a little tour that it shows you how to use it, right? It shows you a little bit about what you see on the screen. Now, let me see what drives the risk, right? So what are the risk factors of the academic failure? Let's go ahead and select this, right? And what happens is Watson Analytics creates a new workbook for me, right? It creates a new workbook for me. And here, it's a little spiral model. Behind the scene, an application is running logistic regression. Because my variable, my target variable in this case is if a student is at risk. In your data set, you need to pick the target variable. It's a variable that you want to predict. Here, I want to predict if my student is at risk and what are the risk factors of the academic failure, right? So as you can see here, the highest risk factor is the highest driver of the risk, right, is absences. Students who absent a lot are more likely to be at risk for academic failure. Here is a combination of the class membership, of the club membership, and absences. But notice this almost everywhere, right? Almost everywhere I see absences. So here I'm looking at the combination of predictors. I'm looking at the predictor and a combination of predictors that are the strongest, right? And here, if I look here, the closer the pin to the core, the stronger is the predictor. So I can look here, if I hover over the pin, it just shows me what combination of variables am I looking at. So here are my dependent variables, and risk is a target variable. And if I wanted to, I could always click here and change the target variable, but that's not what I want, right? And if you notice over here at the bottom, you have a data tray. It's something similar to what you saw in the refinement tab. I can click here and see this. Here is my data, but I can define my filters here too. However, any filters that I defined at this area is going to apply only to this specific visualization, right? Like, for example, I can filter out the state. I can filter out certain class rank, right? So I can do that. Now, what is over here on the right-hand side? Watson Analytics just decided that, I might be interested in this. I might be interested to look at the number of absences by gender, perhaps. Or I want to look at the club membership by country. Well, it's just a set of the suggested visual discoveries. It's a dynamic. Based on what I have currently open, Watson Analytics is trying to determine what else I might be interested in, right? So now what I'll do is I'm going to rename this tab, right? I'm going to call it as risk factors. What's it? Did anyone say something? Alright, so what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to show you something else. Take a look at this. I can click here on the plus sign and it will open another visualization. It will open up another discovery. So here it's just showing me number of absences that could put me at risk, right? Number of absences that could put me at risk, so to speak. Now, what else I could do here is that this is a new functionality. If you may have used Watson Analytics earlier version, this is a new functionality in this version. This is something called Multiplier. So what I want to see is, I want to see this chart, but I want to see a separate copy per gender, perhaps, right? So let me see, here's my gender. What I'll do is drag and drop. So basically, I want to see if the number of absences risk factor is the same for gender, right? So here it's basically showing me the percentages, right? It's showing me the percentages at risk. See this? Mostly the students who are at risks are people who skip 4 or more classes, right? Apparently, attendance is a very important factor here. So here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to rename this as absences. Rename absences, right? Absences. So here we go. Elena needs to learn how to type, how to spell. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to show you something else. I want to look exactly at, I want to see the specific, so to speak, decision tree rules, right? I want to get a bigger idea of the risk factors, better idea. So what I could do here, I'm going to click on the plus sign. But what I want to see the decision tree, but what I really want does not show here. What I need to do here is I need to type, I need to type my question here. What are the risk? Well, I typed something like that, and see this? It found it. Watson Analytics found what I want. I want to know what is the predictive model for the risk, right? Let me click on this, and this is a decision tree model. Now here, the output is going to be slightly different depending on the variable type. Here, my variable type is categorical, at risk or not at risk. Notice that here I'm getting the decision rules, right? If you may remember back from the data mining course where you looked at the decision rules. So here, the first rule tells me that there is if a student is absent more than 4 times, right? I have 74 people, so people who are absent more than 4 times more likely are at risk. See this? I selected the at risk category. So absences is the main risk factor. Here, it's telling me people who are members of more than one club and people who excel the program and the class hours here, right? And absent 1 to 4 times are at risk, 79%. And this is the number of students who fall into this category, right? So I can look at that. And I can also look at the decision tree, but this is a little bit tricky. What you have to do here is that the tree is expandable and collapsible, you need to really play with your mouse to zoom in and zoom out the decision tree, right? Or another option you have is you can download this. See this here, right here where it says share. You can download the copy of the tree. This is download. I'm not going to do it, but I'm just showing you. And you can download it as an image. And here you just basically uncheck what you want to download, right? You can download a copy of the tree, basically. This is what I'm saying. There we go. So see, basically, it's giving you an option to download the image for each tab in a discovery workbook, right? So I'm going to close this out. And this tree should be collapsible, and you can collapse the nodes, and you can click on the node to get more details. So basically what you need to do is you need to play around with the mouse, right? And I'll leave it up to you to play at your leisure, but what I'm going to show you now here is I can switch back to rules, and I'm going to select not at risk, right? So here it is. It's going to show me which students are more likely to do well. And students who are not absent, well, maybe once. And here it is. Students are not members of more than 2 clubs, and so on, right? So here is a category, and this is a number of students who fall into that category, right? So this is a decision tree, and it's also running the logistic regression to implement this tree. It's also happening behind the scene. So here, let's go ahead and save it as tree. I'm just making it up. So here, what I also have to do is I have to save my workbook, all right? And I'm going to save it as student at risk. Students at risk. Right? Now, here is important. I want to save it in my personal folder, right? And I'm gonna say save. There we go. Now, what I'll do is I'm gonna click on the logo here, and I'm going to return to my landing page. Now, you might be wondering, where is it? I just saved it, right? I just saved my work. Where is my work? Okay, you saved the discovery, right? So what you have to do is you have to click on discover tile. And here it is. This is the work that just I did, right? And you can reopen this. You can reopen the workbook just by clicking here. Or, in fact, I still have it open. When I click on the menu here, here is a list of workbooks that I still have open. Workbooks or dataset. So speaking of this is very important, guys. When you're working in the groups, if you save something in a shared area, if you have the file open, your group member cannot edit it. They might be able to open it in a view mode, but they cannot edit it. Even if you're not at your laptop, even if you logged out, if you left the file open before you logged out, you're still using the file. You still have it open, right? So something to keep in mind that if you want to share the file with your team, you need to close the file like this before you log out. Before you log out, always close the work, save the work, and close, right? So here it is. So I have a bunch of models, but, well, are they useful? As an end user, how am I going to interpret it? So what you have to do is, you have to do the display. I'm going to click here. There are 2 types of displays that we're going to talk about. So let me hit new display. There are actually 3 types of displays. There is a dashboard, infographic, and expert storybook. Infographic is basically just one page, just a single page. Dashboard is a multi-tab and it's interactive. And expert storybook is basically a way to organize the set of displays, and you add the annotations, and I'll show you. We'll get there. So now let's create a dashboard. I'm going to select dashboard here, and I'm going to name it, and let's name it students at risk, right? And I'm going to say create. Now, in here, I'm prompted for my layout. I'm going to select this one. Basically, a layout tells me is a number of displays or the number of items that I can have here, right? So here is 2 by 2. I selected 2 by 2. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag and drop. I have several options. I can drag and drop the displays that I have already created, or I can create a new display. I can create a new discovery, rather, sorry, discovery. So let me go here. I'm going to expand the personal folder. And I just created the student at risk. Now remember, student at risk has more than one discovery, right? It has more than one tab. So what I'll do right now is I'm going to open, I expanded it, right? I expanded it. And what I'll do right now, I'm going to add this to my visualization. I'm going to add this to this. Look, this is what I do. I select this and I drag and drop, but I want to make sure when I drag and drop my visualization, I want to make sure that the error lights up, right? Because I want to fit my visualization in this area, right? This is what I wanted to do. So I want to make sure when I drag and drop, I want to make sure that this arrow lights up, right? And I'm gonna put my tree in here. Here. So now, here we go. Now, something very important. The dashboard has 2 modes, an edit mode and a view mode. Currently, I'm in the edit mode. It means that I can make changes to this, right? How do I know that I'm in the edit mode? Because I see the eyeglasses here. When I see an eyeglasses over here, right, I'm in the edit mode. To switch to the view mode, I have to click on the eyeglasses. See this? Now my menus are no longer available. But what I could do is I could just interact this. I can still click here, and I can still do I can change the grouping, and I can still change my filtering. I'll let you play around with this. But I can still drill down and so on. And notice right here, I can still swap from risk to not at risk, and I can still toggle between decision rules and decision tree, and so on, right? Now, I have to also save this, right? It's not saved for me automatically. I have to save it, right? Now I'm gonna go back to the view, to the edit mode. See this? When I click on this pencil, I'm gonna be in edit mode, and now maybe it will let me save it. Yes, and I want to save it in my personal area. There we go. I want to explain something that it could be, in the beginning, it could be really challenging to understand, but once you see it a few times, it will get easier. There are 3 levels of filters, 3 levels. The first filter is defined at the visualization level. So to do this, I just click here, I expand this, and I've got my data tray, right? So basically, in here, I can just edit the individual visualization, right? I can edit my individual visualization, in other words, in here. Format, and so on, right? So I can change this, but the change that I do here will apply to individual visualization. So let me go ahead and close this out. What I could do here, I could define the filter that will apply to all tabs, and here is a single tab. As you may or may not have noticed, I can have more than one tab. So let me click here, and let me add something to another tab. All right, I created another tab, and I can go in to my discoveries, and perhaps I want to see a big tree by itself. All right, so I'll go ahead and I add this, all right? So this is 2 tabs. Right. So now I'm going to go ahead and close this out, And what I was saying earlier is that if I want to define the filter, I click on filters, right? And suppose that I want to filter by the class rank. So what I do is I select this and I drag it here, right? I drag it. And over here I can select the values that I want to see, right? Now, the filter is applied only to this tab. It did not get applied to tab 2, right? Because I defined it on a current tab. So tab 2 does not have this filter. Now, what I could also do is I could define another filter that will apply to all tabs. And I can just do this. And I can just choose the value, right? Edit filter values, and I can just do say yes. And that's it. And it's going to apply this filter to both tabs. See? So there are several levels of filter. I can edit individual visualization, or I can apply the global filter to all tabs, and I can do a single tab. Now, when you create a multi-tab visualization, there is something important you need to keep in mind, because you're going to use these displays to create a storybook. And every display is going to become one thumbnail in the storybook. So if you have two tabs in here, and I'll show you what I mean shortly, you're going to have the two tabs in the display thumbnail, and I'll show you. I'm sorry, I meant the storybook thumbnail. I'm going to show you how to create a storybook shortly. So here it is, right? So this is my discovery. And it's a good practice to save it, right? It's a good practice to rename it. And let's just do this. I'm just making it up. But if you're doing it for your project, you want to have something that's meaningful, because when you submit the project, your deliverable will be graded as well. It's not just the paper will be grading your storybook. Okay, there we go. So now what I'll do is I'm gonna save it again, and I'm gonna close out, save, and I'm gonna exit this. Oops, I'm gonna close this out. Now what I'll do is I'm going to create a storybook. So speaking of storybook, let me show you how it looks like. There was one that I created about the UMUC before. You're an end user. Let's see a big picture from the end user point of view. You click here, you open up the storybook, and as an end user, you see the expert tab finding, right? So here is a storybook on people who discuss the UMUC, people who tweet about UMUC. So here you have a storybook title, I have a storybook description, and I have my expert tab finding. And each tab finding, I'm going to show you how to create it. It's basically each display. Each display that you add will become a thumbnail right here, right? So this is what I see as an end user. I can go ahead and click on a display, and I get the annotation in here. I have a comment that explains what this chart shows, right? It's user-friendly. And it's also interactive, right? I can click, I can drill down, and so on. And here it shows me that it's using the UMUC tweets dataset. What I could also do is I can click on replace and to get another sample of data, right? And it should update all visualizations for me. Now I'm going to click on another tab. This is another visualization, right? So what I did was, when I created this storybook, I was really careful, and I made sure that my displays had only one tab. Otherwise, I would see 2 to 3 tabs here. Well, if you want to do this, you want to make sure that it has a purpose, so to speak, right? So now I'm clicking on home. That's going to take me to the Storybook page, the Storybook main page. And what I could also do it as an end user, I can come back here and I can ask my own questions. I can ask my own questions on the data that the Storybook is based on. For instance, I can click here, right? And what is it going to do? I'm going to create another discovery. I'm creating a brand new discovery, right? There we go. I created a brand new discovery, which I could also save. I could save it, and I could re-add this to my Storybook, right? So as a user, I can enhance it. I can build new questions and keep on adding to my Storybook, right? So let me go ahead and close this out for a second. Close this out and don't save. So let me go back. Let's create our own Storybook. And it's going to be about the student at risk, right? And I created only one display. So let's do this. Let's go display. And we're going to do here new display, right? And here I'm going to say the expert Storybook. And I'm going to say risk students, right? And I'm going to say create. Let's create this. And what it did here, it created an empty Storybook, right? So right now I'm in the edit mode. Before, when I showed you the sample, I was in a preview mode. Now I'm in the edit mode. Notice over here, this is a thumbnail, right? And every thumbnail is going to be the display. Here, we need to keep in mind the order in which we drag the displays, because each thumbnail is going to become a page in a Storybook, right? So let me see. This is what I have to do. This is a display that I just created, and I called student at risk. So what I need to do is I take this and I just drag this. That's it, right? This is how I add my display. Now what I could also do is I could click here and I could add my thumbnail, right? And I can just pick anything. I can pick anything I like, right? So let's see. I'm just pick this. That's it. And I'm just gonna select the. Okay. Oops. All right. So now what I have to do, I believe it saves it for me. Yes, it saves it automatically for me. I don't need to click save. Right? Oh, do I? Actually, I do. There we go. When I click here, it's saving it for me. What I could do here, I could also add my description, right? Yeah. What I could also do is I could add annotation. An annotation is a note that you want to tell the reader what the storybook is about. So I'm going to click here. And I have two tabs. My first tab has 4 visualizations, and I can add this explanation over here. I can add a comment, right? So in your project, you're going to be adding something meaningful, but for the demonstration for the demonstration purposes, I just put this is tab 1. But in reality, when you do it for your project, you want to put something that is intuitive. Now, notice here, I have 2 tabs. How do I get these 2 tabs? It's because my display had 2 tabs. So this is something to pay attention to, right? So now I'm going to hit OK. Right? So I showed you how to add the annotations. And you can also add the annotation to visualization itself. But here we need to be a little bit careful, because it is possible to reload the data, right? It is possible to rerun. If you notice that when I rendered the storybook in a view mode, I had an option to reupload the new data, right? the new data sample, if I put an annotation over here, such as like maximum value, there is a chance that the point where I put the spot where I put the maximum value annotation is not going to be a maximum value anymore. So we really need to be careful with where we put our nodes here. But I'm just showing you how to do it in this case, right? So here I can close out the annotation toolbar and I can see more. Now let me do cancel. Cancel. To add the next display, see this one, and whenever you edit the first display, the next thumbnail shows up, right? And I can add another one here, right? I can add another display. But instead, let's do something else. Let's do something else. Let us swap this workbook to the view mode, right? And I'm going to use this workbook to ask a new question. I'm going to be an end user, right? I'm going to ask a question here. Oops. And I'm going to type something like risk by country. Right? And I'm supposed to get the list of the visualization. So, see this? What is the breakdown by state and so on? Well, I did not do a good job with asking a question, right? Suppose that if I'm not sure how to ask questions, you can get help with it too, right? I don't see it in here, but on the other screen, on the discovery screen, there was an option to get help with the questions. But let me see here. Let me see. Suppose that I don't see my visualization, don't see what I want. I can click on Show Next and see what else I see in here. Or I can just paraphrase my question. I can say, let's say country, right? I can say country and then check what it gives me by country, right? There we go. Or I can say something like, again, I can say risk, and let's see what else it's going to give me. Notice that the questions that I get are dynamic. It depends on what I enter in here, right? Now, okay, I can go ahead and I can say, what is the distribution of risks was, right? Let me pick that one. And notice what I'm going to do right now, right? So here, it just shows me the distribution of number of people at risk and number of people not at risk, right? So let me do this. Oh yeah, and notice that this is a count, right? This is a count because by default, it's just going to count how many people are at risk, right? Now what I want to do here is I think I want to change it. And instead of, okay, so let me show you something. I want to change. I don't like how my visualization looks like. I can click on here, visualization, and I can create a completely brand new visualization, right? I can do that. And what I want to do here is that, suppose that I want to select the table, perhaps, right? I can select the table, and here, by default, it's going to give me the number of people at risk and not at risk, right? So I can do that. It's more meaningful for me, probably. Or I can also click here, and I'm going to create another one, and I saw it. Oh, here it is. I like the map. Let's see. Because we have a country field, don't we? So let me see country, right? And I'm gonna drag this country. I have to drag and drop, right? Okay. And now I'm gonna close this, right? So I want to show the country data. And what I want to do is, let me do the GPA here. Let me see. So what I want to do is I want to show the average GPA by country. I'm just giving an example. I realize that this is not quite related to our target variable, but I basically wanted to show you that you can use the existing workbook to do additional visualization. Here it is, the GPA, right? So let me see the size. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. Let me see this one, like this. Well, but basically what I'm doing here is that I'm creating a custom visualization, right? And I'm just showing you that you can use this data tray to do that. And here it is, the GPA. And now, let me close this out. Oops. Yeah, it's a little bit slow because this is a cloud application. We need to keep in mind that, yeah. So see this? The color code here, it's still loading, but what I'm trying to say here is my map, and I'm showing the color code indicate the student average. It should indicate the student's GPA. Not sure why it's so low because, okay, I have to check that. Now, what we have to do, we can do here is that I can click on the GPA here, right? I can click on the student GPA, and I can do properties and see this. There is an option in here, average, right? Here I want to show the average, which is correct. But in general, whenever whenever you're working with numeric variables, whenever you're aggregating, you have an option to change to count distinct, count minimum, maximum, or average, right? You have this option. Just wanted to make sure that you're aware of that, right? But I wanted to keep an average in this case. So here is a list of my countries, basically, and it's showing the average GPA by country, right? It's showing me the average GPA by state, rather, right? I'm drilling down to state in this case. Yeah, it's broken down by state. Yeah, see this? Yeah, it's showing me the average GPA per state right now. And what I could do is I could filter it out as well. I could filter out certain states that I don't want to see. But in this case, I want to see it, right? So here it is. And apparently, most of my data is United States, yeah. All right, most of my data is from United States, looks like. But anyhow, let me go ahead and let's save this workbook. Let's save the discovery. I want to save it as, let me see, save, and I'm going to save it as a map, right? Map. There we go, and I'm going to save it in my personal folder, personal area. So let me close this out. I'm going to close this out. Right. Now I'm back at my landing page. I want to add what I just did to my storybook, but before I do that, I have to create a display. So now remember this workflow: data, discover, display, storybook, right? So I quickly have to create a new display, and I'm going to do the dashboard, and I'm going to do the create, right? And I want, like this, the single, and I want to go to my personal area, right? Map, and I just like this. I'm going to drag this, right? And let me call it a map, right? I'm going to save it as a GPA map, right? Right? So you see it right now. I'm going to hit save. And now what I'm going to do here is that I'm going to go back to my storybook, right? So to do that, I'll have to click here. I can click on this logo. It's going to take me to the landing page. And I'm going to click here, GPA map, right? I'm in my, oops, that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to click on my storybook. Okay, so I'm going in my storybook, risk students, and I'm going to edit it. But the problem is when I open it, it's gonna be most of the time when I open this, it's going to be in view mode, right? And notice that I was at the ask the question screen, right? But that's not what I want to do right now. I want to get back to my edit mode, and I'm going to add the display that I just created. I'm gonna scroll down, and I just did this. I'm gonna add this here, right here. Right, so that added the second tile, and I can add the picture here. I can add the thumbnail if I choose, and I can always rename it, and I can add my annotations and so on. Right. So basically, I'm gonna go ahead and save it. Right. Well, but the bottom line here is that as an end user, I can interact with expert findings that are already in the storybook, or I can add to it, right? I can work on asking questions, additional questions on the data in the storybook, and keep on adding the displays, right? So you may notice this publish button. Don't worry about it. We're not going to be publishing our work on Bluemix yet, so don't worry about this for right now. So we're gonna click save, right? So what you're going to be delivering in your project, you will be delivering a storybook. In the next 2 weeks, you're going to be working on a proposal, right? So in my case, what I just did is my target variable is to predict if my student is at risk, right? And to identify the risk factors. The, the target variable is if a student is at risk, right? That's my target variable. And what I would need to do is I would need to use my Watson Analytics program to uncover the risk factors and uncover which variables are not risk factors. And I need to create the presentation for an end user, something that an end user can look at, and maybe I want to drill down to see how it varies, how the risk factors vary in the different states. Maybe I want to filter out and look at specific GPA range perhaps, or something like that. But the whole idea is that you want to present your findings as an interactive storybook, right? And you're going to be saving a copy of the storybook file in your shared area. So at the end of the semester, week 12, this is what will be expected in your folder, right? And I'm going to use the Team 3 as an example. At the end of the semester, we're going to open each team shared folder, and if I select the display, I'll expect the storybook to be here, and you're going to let us know the name of the file to look at. And we should be able to open up your storybook and to read the findings from there. So the deliverable consists of two parts. Part 1 is the storybook that we'll actually be going to be checking, and part 2 is a paper, right? So yeah, so basically this is what's gonna happen. Also make sure that you have all files, because there is a dependency between files, right? So if I go ahead and if I share the discovery with my team, but if I don't share the data that I use to create the discovery, my team will not be able to open the discovery, right? So it means whenever you upload the storybook here for grading, right, final version, you're going to tell which file is the final version. You need to make sure that all elements that you use to create the storybook are also in this area, right? So what I'm talking about basically is this. I'm going to the personal area right here, right? And let's say I go to Discovery, and I want to share this beautiful map, all right? I'm going to share this map here, and this is how I do this. To share the map with the team, I would have to do this. I would have to click on ellipsis, and I'm gonna have to do move, right? This is how I share something with my team. And I'm gonna select shared, and ignore all of this. You're not gonna see this because you need to have an admin. You need to be an admin to see all the folders. But what you will see is that you will see the folder more sample data set. You have a read-only access to it, and you're going to see the folder for the session you enrolled in. So for a minute, let me imagine that I'm a student, and I'm taking the session 9040. And I'm in a group 3. Let's just imagine that I'm a student and I want to share something with my group members, team 3. And I just move. And this is very important, do not uncheck everything, because I already configured the folder for the group members, right? I already configured, but again, for this to work, you need to be active, right? You need to be active in the system, right? Otherwise, it's very unpredictable what's going to happen to permission. So that's why I asked everybody to make sure that you accept an invitation. So I'm just going to click OK here, right? And then I'm going to go back to shared, and I'm going to go back to the folder for my team, right? And I'm pretending that I'm a student at the moment, and I'm going here, and I'm going to the group 3. Now, since I'm an admin, I might not be able to demonstrate it to you, but suppose that you open, right? If a group member, if a member of Team 3, right? Somebody who's a member of Team 3 tries to open this visualization, there is a high chance that a person may receive an error message. It's highly possible because that person may or may not have access to the data set that I used to create this visualization. I did not get an error because I have access, right? I'm the one who downloaded the data. On the other hand, my group mate won't have, right? So there we go. Let me close this out. I'm going to close this out. Another thing, I forgot to mention it. Whenever you move something to your study group area, you need to close. If the workbook is still open, it cannot be moved, right? So I open it. I have it open right here. Now I go back, and I want to unshare it, right? I no longer want to share with the team 3. Suppose that I'm fired from team 3. I go here, I go move. See this? This is an error message. Why am I getting this error message? It's because I did not close the file, right? So this is very important. To move the file, I have to close it. Let me close this. Now I can do it, right? Anytime you want to move the file, and that not only applies to sharing it, you might have a bunch of the subfolders that you created in your personal area. So let me do this move, and I want to move it back to my personal area. So I have to find the personal here, and I'm just going to say move, and I'm going to get this warning. The warning message says that if I move it, my group members no longer be able to see it. I'm just going to hit OK. That's fine. That's what I want, right? That's all. So now I'm going to go back to my personal area, and I should see my discovery back. Now, this is very important, right? So when I created this storybook right here, I also had to create this risk students, and I also had to create a risk student is my storybook, right? To create this, I had to create this too, right? I had to create this two displays, these two dashboards, right? Displays. Let me close this. Let me go back. So I had to create those two, right? Oops. It's a little bit okay. See this? I had to create 1, 2, 3. And I go back here, and I have to create 2 of this. And I have 1 data set, right? So how many files do I need to move? 5, right? 1, 2, and then I have 3 more. I would need to make sure that I put all these files into the group folder, because at the end I want to be able to open this in your group area, and I want to be able to run it as an end user, right? So because when we say create something, we actually looking at if it was created. To give you some more ideas about the storybooks and what they can contain, let me show you something. There are some samples that you can import. Look here. I click here, Analytics Exchange. And Analytics Exchange has some storybooks that are samples, and you may just see there are some datasets and there are some expert storybooks. And I can click on Explore, and just showing me different options. And I can just select anything that I like. Just for instance, I want hiring top sales force. I click here and I click import. And this is free right now. Make sure what you add is free. I'm gonna click free. I mean import. Here it's a confirmation, and it's importing right now. When it gets imported, it's going to import. It's going to create a subfolder with all of the displays inside the storybook, right? So while it's running, I just wanted to point out a few important things in the slides, right? So here I'm listing your dataset options, and here I'm just showing you how I open the refinement view and different things that you can do. And in the classroom, you're gonna find very interesting videos on how to add the calculated columns, on how to change hierarchies, on how to build the data groups. I strongly recommend you watch as much as you can. And here is more details on the refined interface. And please keep this picture in mind. Whenever you deleted something by the accident or something like that, there is no recycle bin. So I purposely put this picture here. Now let's see if it's done. Yeah, so it's done right now. And see this? This is an example of what I show me basically what I can and what I cannot do in my storybook, right? It shows me what I can do. See this? I have several thumbnails, and I can just click here as an end user, and I've got my annotations that tells me what this do, what the storybook does rather, and I have several tabs in here that I can click on, right? And I can actually ask my additional questions. I'll show you. And see that here I can click here and get an annotation. It's possible to add the annotation on top of visualization, but we need to be really careful, because if I want to add something over here saying this is a maximum value, if I go and do this, replace my data, I may no longer have a maximum value in this point, right? So I'll close this out, and see this, I have 6 thumbnails in this storybook, right? So this is just to show you an example of what we'll be looking at, right? So you want to make sure that you select a topic, and the expert storybook just stays on the topic. Now I go back to the home page of the storybook, and I can keep on asking my own questions, right? Oh, it's probably not turned on because, I see it's not turned on because this storybook is from the Exchange side. But your storybook that you create will have this option. Now here it's telling me that they used 1 data set and 6 displays. They call the display type pointing. So if I go back to my folder, this is what I'm gonna see. In my personal folder, I have a subfolder called imported. And in here, Watson Analytics creates a separate subfolder for every storybook that I import. And inside the subfolder, here are the expert findings, right? Each of these is a thumbnail in my storybook, right? Because I imported it from the Analytics Exchange page. So you might want to consider importing some existing ones just to get some ideas. Well, of course, you're not going to copy, but at least it gives you an idea of what you can do and what is available, right? Depending on the visualization that you use depend on a target variable. I would say try at least the spiral model and do the decision tree. Yeah. So now what else I have not covered? Oh, there is another folder that has more data sets. That's something that I just uploaded in case you might be interested to play around. I have to select data. You have a read-only access to this. So if you want to play around with these data sets, right? Like for instance, I have a student retention data. In order for me to play around and to edit it, this is what I need to do. I have to do this, click here. I have to click on refine and pay attention. File, save as, save as, save as, and I'm going to save it to my personal folder. Okay? I want to create my local copy, right? That's it. And then I'm going to play around with my local copy of the file. Right? There we go. And it still keep on saving, but while it's saving, notice that you have a similar view here. You have a, what is this? These are the column names in your spreadsheet, right? And you want the column names to be as descriptive as possible because when you are looking at the questions, notice that let me click at the discovery to show you what I'm talking about. And I'm going to go to the personal area. Oops. Personal. And I'm going to go back in here. Look at this here. What is this in blue? See this risk? This is a variable name, isn't it? It's a field name in my spreadsheet. What is this? Absences. It's picking up the field name, right? And similarly, when I go and when I try to add the new visualization, it also will pick up the field name, right? This is a field name. So if I called it XYZ, I would have no idea what I'm looking at, right? Just no idea. Now, let me go back to the landing page. And I think if you take the Watson Analytics course, they're going to talk to you about the 3 ways to ask questions. One way, you can just type in a question here, right here, just an example. And what it will do is Watson Analytics will search all data sets that you have access to in your personal area and everything shared with you. It will search all data sets. What I could also do is I could click here and type my question. Watson Analytics will also search all the data sets that are available for me. On the other hand, if I'm in the specific discovery, and if I want to add the new question here, if I want to add the new tab, right, the questions that I type in here will only be for this specific data set. It's not going to be on all data sets that I have, right? So just keep that in mind. If you're going to be taking the test at the end of the course, keep in mind there are 3 ways to ask questions, and the main difference is if I'm looking at one data set or if I'm looking at it all over the board, right? So if you guys attend the presentation on the 22nd, I'm thinking about showing how to get data from Twitter as well. So this is, although it's not explicitly required on your project, but it's something that could add value to it, right? I showed a lot of things, but let's see if we have any questions about the materials that I presented. Otherwise, yeah, I want to make sure that students follow, that you guys follow me. Do we have any questions on what I presented so far? I only have personal folder. Oh, yeah. Rick, you need to use this subscription. You need to make sure that you accept the Watson Analytic invitation that I sent you. And the email was sent on 30th, January 30th, because the free version that you get, it does not have the option to share files. And it also does not have an option to use the Storybook. So you want to make sure that you're only using the versions that I signed you up for. Because if you look up at the account information, right, you want to make sure that it's my subscription. See, in the account overview, make sure it says UMUC Betinskaya is an account name. So this is my subscription. Make sure that you see that, okay? This is how you would know that you are in the right subscription, right? And we have more than 200 users at the moment, right? So we have about 218 users in the system. And you're going to see this is account name. So you want to make sure that you see UMUC and my last name. That's how you would know that you're using the right subscription, right? So let me close this out. And so basically, guys, I can still go in and I can see how many of you have not accepted your invitation. Not sure what that is, but I'll take a look later. See this? I still see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 students. I still see 7 people who have not accepted the invitation. So whenever you get a chance, please go ahead and do this. Huh? Oh, I have to look at it. Rick, there is a possibility that you may have more than one account. There is a high possibility that you may have more than one account. Make sure that you're signing into your account, okay? Make sure that the account that you're signing in is actually the account that I created for you, okay? Your email, okay. I'll check it. Because basically, for this course, you need to use the subscription, because otherwise you won't be able to share your data with your classmates, and you won't be able to use. I'll look at it later. Okay, I can verify, but I'll have to look at yours later, Rick, because I'm not sure. Yeah. See this, what I search here? I can search and I can find your subscription status. See this? Yes, okay, because I have to look at my list and I have to check. Okay? So basically what I will do is I'm gonna go through the list again after this meeting, and I'm gonna check, and I hope the number to go down. Okay? Oh, what was the question? The question was about the 7 data sets, right? Yeah, I have to open up the chat because I don't have the chat open. Let me see. Chat. Okay. Where are the 7 data sets? Okay, excellent question. Let me show you that again. So let me show you that again. So here I'm returning to the landing page, right? And I'm going to return to the data page. I click on new data, sample data, right? New data, sample data. And here I'm going to select my choice, right? And let me see, like I gave you several choices. So I'm going to select one that I like. And in addition to providing the location, I also gave you the URL. And the URL is going to have a physical copy of the file, and it's going to have some useful information. It could be the data description or some links to related videos. Okay? So let me go back here. Oops. So this is analyze test marketing campaign, right? So I go here and I find it, this one, right? I find it, I click, and then I click import. This is where I get, right? So I made it easier for you. So let me close out. I'm not gonna import anything right now. Yeah. Right? So this is basically where it is. I picked the ones from samples because for those I'm very confident that the data loads and works correctly. That's why. Because something to make sure, and they're gonna talk about it in the course, that not all spreadsheets can be imported. You want to make sure that the data does not have any aggregation. Like if your Excel file has some subtotals, it's not gonna work. If you have blank columns, it's not gonna work. Can you proceed with practicing? Oh yes, absolutely. And actually, you should proceed with Access and Watson Analytics as soon as you can. Yes, you should. That's an excellent question, Jerry. Yes, you should do it. And I would strongly recommend you go to the classroom and you look at the resources. You take the course, and then there's a very good workbook in there. There are several workbooks, and there is a data set that comes with a workbook. And if you're like me, right, well, personally, I learned better by doing. So you would find that workbook really helpful. You sit down and you follow along, and you actually could get some ideas for your project as well. So, yeah. Oh, you're the most welcome, Jerry, yes. So this is an application where you just learn by doing it. Yeah. So you try it, it did not work, you try it again, yeah. So let's see what other questions we have. And yes, after this, Rick, I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna check if your account is active. But based on what I saw a minute ago, 4 people need to accept an invitation. So yeah. And at any time, if you forget your IBM ID, contact me, right? I'll let you know you log in. But for your password, there are instructions to reset. So nothing to worry about, right? And also, I want you guys not to hesitate to ask questions, right? We'll have questions, and we like students who ask questions. So, yeah. So let's see what other questions we have. I have a test question for you. What are the 3Ds of Watson Analytics? 3Ds. If you don't remember anything I said last night, do you remember the 3Ds? Data, discover, display, right? Excellent, excellent. Excellent job, Jerry, see? Yeah. So we remember this is a workflow. We add the data, we discover, we do the visualization, and then we display. We present our findings, and we put together the findings in a nice storybook. That's a high-level idea, right? Any more questions? I want to hear questions right now. I realize I presented a lot of material here, but I want you not to hesitate. Oh yeah, and there is something else, something important that I wanted to show you. The web page where it's a discussion forum where people, I have it somewhere in the slides. There is a web page where you can check. Sometimes when you're unsure if something can be done and when you want to know how to do something, there is a discussion page. Here is a web page. It has a discussion forum where people ask questions on different topics about the software, and you may actually log in and you may ask your question too. See this? For instance, the functionality before is not working. And here it is. See this? we get this problem, how do you solve it? And you look at people's answers. See this? You can look at this, and you can also post your own questions, but you need to be logged in. You need to be logged in. And also, if you get into the course at Big Data University, you will see that you will see that there is a discussion in there, and in fact, I answered a couple of questions in there as well. So there is a discussion area in the course in a Big Data University. If you open up the course, you'll see there is a link to discussion inside the course, and you might find that helpful too, right? Okay. Oh, I see. Rick, I see what the issue is because when I entered your name in there, I used the spelling exactly as it's in a classroom. I did not put Rick. I put Richard. I see what it is. Now it's gonna find you, yes. But anytime I can find you, and I can tell you which email you're using. Yes. So this is an email, and you're under my subscription. So all the time, if you do not remember what your IBM ID is, right? You email me, and I'm going to log in, and I'm going to check the system. All right? I'm here to help you, and I do my best to answer the questions as quickly as I can. I do my best.
Tonight.
Any questions?
Please stop.
Oh, any questions, guys? Let me. And yes, the slides will be posted, but in the slides I'm doing a different example, but it's just another. And here I'm just basically summarizing the dependencies, right? So if you move the display to the shared area, you have to put the data in there too, right? And here I'm just showing you how to share files, how to unshare files. And this one, remember this picture. Every time when you try to use a back button on a browser, remember what Yelena said. Yelena said no, red cross, right? And also remember what will happen to anything saved in this root folder. It will be deleted, right? We're not saving anything at the root of the folder. We're only saving it at our personal area and to our group area, right? So I'm going to stop sharing the screen for a while, and let's see who has questions. Questions?
Well.
Yelena, is there anything that you would like to add? Anything I may have missed?
Quiet, please. Let's go sleep.
Anybody wants to add anything? Anybody wants to ask anything? This is a good opportunity to ask questions. Hey, Yelena, are you still there? Anybody, do we have more questions? So this is a good opportunity for you guys to ask questions. And we're going to upload the slides when we post the recording. I'm trying to make sure that I don't miss anything. So here is a picture of the maintenance page. This is a picture of the maintenance page. And here is a link where you get the list of the supported browsers. Oops, I'm not sharing. I'm not sharing.
Yelena, you're probably not sharing the screen.
Yes, I'm just sharing it. Yes, thank you. I was just going to show you that this is a page that you're going to see. This is a maintenance page. And here is a link that shows you which browsers are supported. Right? I'm going to post the slides. Thank you, yes. So let's see, do we have any questions? Any questions? I guess if you don't have a question, we're gonna call it a night, right? Oh, wait, do you want to? Oh, okay, I see. I'm gonna call it a night. And also, please check my email. If I still don't see you as active in the system, I emailed you today. All right. Everybody, thank you very much for attending the presentation, and hope you have a good night.
Thank you, Elena. This was really good. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.